That's just the way that real estate works. This is not like a salary job. It's not something where all agents are equal. The truly beautiful part about this business is the fact that you are going to directly make the amount of value that you provide to people.
Welcome to the Real Estate Is Show. I have our youngest guest to date, Brandon Schneider. I'm going to try to find somebody younger than you to be on it. Actually, to be honest with you, Brandon, I had my son Beckham. He was 8 on the show. So you are the second youngest person to ever be on the show. How old are you, Brandon?
I'm 29. I just turned 29 last month.
Oh, man, I hated turning 30. Are you married?
Not yet.
Which means maybe soon?
I mean, in the near future, most likely.
Okay. Well, we're going to put you on the spot right away. I remember my wife threw me like a surprise birthday party when I was 30. And I remember thinking like, I don't want to celebrate turning 30. And it all came from like a ambition. Like I wanted to accomplish as much as possible before I was 30. And then turning 30 meant like, that was over.
Yeah.
So what has your journey been like in your 20s? How did you get involved in real estate?
I always knew that real estate was a path that I wanted to take. I just didn't know which avenue I was going to take kind of within that path. My family's, I've seen them build wealth through ownership of real estate, but my dad's a contractor and he knows houses in and out, but no one ever was a realtor in my family. So I really don't have like that family member that like it grew, I guess in the blood of like an actual realtor. But
did you grow up with both parents at home?
Yeah, I did. So
did your mom work?
My mom worked when I was really young, but she was more of a house mom. I will say that my dad, he did run a full Honda dealership at 25 years old, and he was one of the top car salesmen in the whole nation. So sales do run kind of in my blood, but I guess just a lot of younger successful realtors have like that direct real estate agent as a parent or something. So it was a learning, it was a growth moment.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, I did. So I graduated from Colorado State. I studied business and communications. I was a first generation student. So I was the first person in not only my immediate family, but like anyone in my family to graduate, which my parents put a lot of emphasis on that. It was important to me, but I was always I felt like when I was in college, I was ready to get out in the real world.
I was trying to get through college as fast as I could.
Exactly.
I went a different route, but I mean, I just remember thinking like, I want to make money. Like I'm spending all this time and effort and I'm paying for all this time and effort instead of getting paid for all my time and effort.
Exactly.
And you had, coming back from an entrepreneurial background, I bet that's where a lot of that desire comes from. What did your parents think when you decided to be a realtor?
It was actually a lot of them what pushed me to get my license. They're like, you got to get your real estate license. I actually worked in a car dealership for a little bit, and I was the first person in there. I was the last person to leave. I think I sold 15 cars my first month, but the problem is I knew nothing about cars. I'm a very obsessive person in anything I do. And I think that really bodes well in sales just overall because I'm competitive. I want to be the best. And, but with selling cars, I didn't have that deep passion for long-term growth. Whereas in real estate, like I have like that fire that gets lit up in my stomach, like every day when I wake up. And, I just think it's so important in your career to do something you love, because when you're at work, you spend so much time, especially as a realtor, in the field, right? Whether it's in the office around your colleagues, or whether it's at open houses, meeting people, or whether it's even just reading about it, or, whatever you're doing, it's especially as a high producing realtor, it takes up a lot of your life. So you need to really be passionate about it. I think that's a really important aspect of, what drew me into staying into real estate and continuing growth.
Interesting. So you were how old when you get your real estate license?
So I've been licensed for almost 5 years. So I'd say about 24.
And you were here in Arizona when that happened?
Yeah.
What brought you to Arizona?
I have a buddy, his name's Trayvon, and he moved out to Arizona, and he was my roommate in Colorado. And when he moved out to Arizona, he was just one of those kids that was just not quite there. And I love him, and it's just a beautiful moment to look back on, because I saw this young man grow like I've never seen a human being grow. I mean, like, and it just impressed me so much. And
his move to Arizona, or what was it that caused the growth?
I think it was his move to Arizona. He grew more than anyone I've ever known. And I was so impressed by it when I'm like, what's in Arizona? Like, what did this, is it the water? Is
it's
it like,
it's the women.
It's the women. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Right. But you know, it was just, I was so impressed by the growth, and he asked me if I wanted to move out because I had just graduated college, and I was like, you know what do I have to lose? I wasn't one of those kids that stayed at my parents' house and wanted to, you know, work and build, you know, while I was at my parents'. I love my parents. They're amazing. They're as supportive as they come, but I just wanted to get out. I wanted to, it's funny, I'm a big Eagles fan. I wanted to spread my wings and fly like an eagle and just see what I can do.
You just ended up in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah. Real estate would have been a lot more gritty in Philadelphia. But
it is gritty. Yeah. I've been involved in some investments in Philadelphia, and you're buying houses that are 150 years old.
Yeah.
It's like fixing up a 150-year-old house is a whole different world than 20-year-old house.
And they're straight up and down. They're not.
So you're out here. Your buddy brought you out here. You saw the change he made. You're excited for some change in your own life. Mm-hmm. You got your real estate license. Why did you choose to go with Mojo?
When I first got my license, I worked on a small team in Gilbert. And the team that I worked on, it just wasn't the right fit for me. It wasn't a very inspiring experience of like, my leader, whatever, my team leader, it was almost like he didn't believe that I could accomplish the things that I had talked about and dreamed of.
So you had big goals.
I had big goals, and you know, I had big goals, and they were scary. They were
clipping your wings.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of scary to even like to have the type of goals that I had. And I think that, well, I know that Josh Hinson and Morgan Hodges, they're such uplifting individuals. And just being around them inspires me, even if we're not even talking about real estate, just the way that they hold themselves, you know, and just genuinely wanting to help and see, you know, the people that are willing to put in the work. And that's one thing that I kind of felt right away was like, they're very genuine people. You can run into all sorts of different people in this industry. The higher the level you're at, the more you run into people that you wouldn't want to be mentored by, or maybe they're at an insane level and they're doing amazing in real estate and life, whatever. What
have you learned from those guys that's helped in your career?
You know, I've learned so much just about how to put our clients first. I've really learned a work ethic, and I've learned that it's a full circle of the laws of the universe when it comes to results and work ethic, where I mean, I don't get a ton of handoffs. I'd say about 75, 80% of the deals that I close are actually from open houses, just people that I meet. But it's the opportunities that they continuously provide me with, that they're the type of people where they're going to give you a big bowl to go fill with water. And it's up to you, you know, how much you want to put in that bowl. But I think what's important is they give you the bowl.
What's an example of that? So like giving you an open house to do, like what's an example of that?
Yeah. So I get a lot of open house opportunities on any of their listings. We have a system called Sync, and it is called Scottsdale Area Homes. Basically, it's just a search engine that people go to when they're looking for a home in Arizona. You know, it pops up first thing on Google, and there's echelons of the pool. So like if you're a newer agent, you get like up to 400, 500,000. Maybe second tier, it's like 700,000, 800,000. Then it goes.
So they distribute the leads based on that.
Yeah. Well, they give people different opportunities and different pools based on their experience, their work ethic, you know, how comfortable they feel putting them in front of that type of lead.
I love that idea. So, you know, let's assume you're in their role for a second. You got other team leads that are and owners that are watching this show. A lot of the top agents watch the show. And the concept I'm hearing from you that receives these leads is like, how cool is, especially with a competitive personality, to say not every lead is equal.
Yeah.
That certain leads go to the certain people, and you earn, if you're on that team, the ability to get those access to those leads.
Absolutely. And I think that's just the way that real estate works. This is not like a salary job. It's not something where all agents are equal. All leads aren't equal, or all agents aren't equal. The truly beautiful part about this business is the fact that you are going to directly make the amount of value that you provide to people. And behind that value that you provide to people is the amount that you work on your own self-development, your own business, and just ultimately the work that you put in and day out. And it's behind the scenes, it's the things that you're doing when, it's like you look at Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all these great athletes. They're not amazing players, top 3, whatever, NBA players in history, because they worked hard only in front of the lights. It was what they did when people weren't watching.
So what do you do behind the scenes that makes you successful?
I will say that there are a lot of agents that are more experienced than me. And there's a lot of people that know a lot more about real estate and markets and overall than me. But I will say that I truly believe that no one will outwork me. And by that, I do. So when I first got into the business, I think I would hold like 30 open houses without taking one day off. And I would do 10 to 5 every single day. Now at this point in my business, I'm a lot busier with clients, stuff like that. So I do like typically like 3 to 4 days, but I do 10 to 5 open houses. Whereas, a lot of the agents, they'll do, 11 to 1, 10 to 2, but it's really rare that you see someone dedicate a whole day toward like open houses. When I'm at open houses, I also call sync. So I'm like doing a lot of stuff at once. I'm doing market research.
You call your leads, you said?
Yeah. Follow up is key. The fortunes and the follow up.
You said call sick, but I think that's a term that you use.
Sync.
Yeah.
Sync. So
to clarify for others watching, you're calling your leads.
Yeah, I'm calling my leads. So I'm double dipping, right? So I'm at an open house. I have an opportunity. I always joke like no one's going to knock on my office door and say, hey, will you sell me a house? Yeah. But while I'm at my open house, I could be calling leads from my system and following up with clients and, doing all. So that's what I like about open houses, because it gives you so much flexibility.
Yeah, I like that idea. I used to I owned a brokerage back in the day, and I used to preach that concept that your office every single day should be an open house.
Yeah, it should. For sure.
That's what your office should be.
It should be, yeah.
And it's finding those properties. Mojo flips houses, so they have probably a lot of houses that are vacant.
They do.
Where you can go do that at.
Yeah.
Not as easy for sometimes a normal realtor. But what advice do you have for those realtors out there that want to do more open houses, but they don't just have a flip to go sit at?
Yeah. So, it's important about who you work with and the brokerage that you're with and the opportunities that are provided to you, because whatever open house you're sitting in, that is going to be the type of client that you attract, right? So like my sweet spot is between 1 and 2 million in Scottsdale. Central Scottsdale is like my bread and butter. And those are the open houses that I sit at, because that's the type of client that I want to attract. So if you're on a team or you're at a brokerage, that was one of the problems I had with my first team was I wanted to be a luxury real estate agent. That was my dream, my goal, my objective. I wasn't going to stop till I got there. But, my team leader is, I think his highest sale was like 800, right? So I didn't have those listings. I didn't have that opportunity. And, I was so new in the industry and no one knew my name that, now if I called someone from my brokerage and they had a luxury listing, it was a $1.5 million listing, I'd probably have a really good chance of sitting it, because now I'm a well-known agent. I guess I would hope that
they trust you with their clientele that,
Yeah, they trust me. And I think that when you're trying to build that name for yourself, it's important to leverage. Our team is amazing. But just, any team, maybe that's not your niche, right? But whatever niche you're going after, you want to find someone that's been there, done that can show you, hey, this is the ropes, So
I imagine it hasn't been all unicorns and rainbows.
Mm-mm.
What struggles have you gone through in this industry?
I've failed probably more times than I can even imagine. Just today, it's really challenging to talk about, because it was a really tough morning for me. I went out looking at houses yesterday with a client. I met them like 3-4 years ago. I've been following up with them every single day. And we were looking at $3-4 million houses in North Scottsdale. I'm not a North Scottsdale specialist. And I'm very honest about my strengths and my weaknesses, which I think sometimes is my downfall. I'm very honest with sellers about what I think their house is worth and what would be the best for them. And I think that's a lot of times my downfall. And they called me this morning and they said, our family friends referred us to an agent that just knows North Scottsdale better. And it was gut wrenching. I mean, it hurts so bad to know that I'm just not there yet. You know what I mean? In a lot of areas of my business, when you get past like that $2 million price point is where I struggle. Dead honest. I mean, I crush it from 1 to 2, but when you get past the 2, it's no longer work ethic. It's cold-blooded experience, market knowledge. You need to know inside and out every single neighborhood. And I need to work on that. On the selling side, like I've lost a couple listings. It's funny, I have a client I lost 2 listings to, and I actually work with them on the buy side after. I think sometimes it plays into my age. You know, I think that I know that I'm the best agent for the job, especially if it's in the places that I normally work. But, you know, when you're in your 20s, sometimes you can do everything right and you compete with an agent that's been doing it 20, 30 years and you just lose the listing. And it just, I think that's where I failed most, was like maybe preparation. And I think any agent that's been doing it for a while and has a lot of success will tell you they failed a lot.
Tell me this, how much money did you make last year?
I made about, in just real estate, I made $300,000.
And that's to you, right?
To me, net. The great thing about being on a team is I have 0 expenses. I spent $0 on marketing. I don't spend money on leads. That's including my split. So how much I actually made in commission, I don't know, probably closer to $450.
But $300,000 to you. So this is a really good learning lesson. You probably know this already, but I'll share it with you anyway. If you look at most doctors, dentists, and attorneys' salaries, the average salary is somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000. And what I want you to know is, I guess what's really important that we have this conversation about, and I would give you this advice whether we're on the podcast or not, is how much time do you think that attorney or doctor spent before they made that much money? A lot, right? A lot in school. Mm-hmm. Now, what most people don't know is most doctors and attorneys still put a lot in every year in continuing education. Now, I know they have that word in real estate, and it's just not the same, right? Attorneys have to stay up to date on what's going on with the new laws. That's through doctors, right? The new medicines and everything. And it's something that I share with my salespeople internally is if you want to make above $200,000-$300,000, like it's not just the work, but you got to put the preparation in, you know, so to get to that next level in North Scottsdale, I mean, you need to be finding the time to study North Scottsdale.
Exactly.
And become an expert in it.
Exactly.
And I really like the bites of the elephant example, right? Just take bites out of that elephant. Go get to know a couple neighborhoods at a time.
Exactly.
Say this month, I'm going to be an expert on Troon. This month, I'm going to be an expert on this neighborhood. And just slowly. And now the next time you get a client, I mean, you got to be a little careful here. I mean, this is more sales coaching here, but you can't get too giddy because as soon as they see that you're excited, oh, Troon, I'm an expert on Troon. All of a sudden they're going to feel like, oh, hold on, this guy's too excited, right?
Yeah.
But you really got to take bites out of that apple or bites off the elephant. It's the only way to eat an elephant.
For sure. And you couldn't have said it better. I mean, like, that's $100K check.
Same amount of work as the $50K check.
Same amount of work. And, you know, for me to expect to get that check without the preparation, it doesn't add up. It's the laws of the universe.
Let me change the subject a little bit. So a lot of the clients, agents I have on, have been doing this since 2013, 2010. They've been around for quite a while. Some of the names on this wall here have been around for a long time. They're not as close to the brand new agent as you are. What advice do you have for that newer agent, that younger, newer agent out there?
Outwork everyone.
What does that really mean though?
I think it comes down to just the consistent daily efforts, day in, day out. Be patient, find a good mentor, you know, figure out what you're passionate about, where you want to work, your niche. It's just so important to have like a vision. Your why factor is so important because when you're a new agent, you're first getting started, you're going to fail. I mean, it's funny. I failed my real estate test 19 times.
Wow.
19 times, combine the state and the school test.
Holy cow.
And I could have easily quit. And
most people probably do.
For sure. And it was it was gut wrenching. I mean, I would go in and I would take it and I would do like 1% better every time, but I would fail and I would fail and I would fail.
Did you struggle with tests in school?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was not a good test taker.
You know what's interesting? I love what you're saying, and I'll probably show my kids this video. I've told my kids, and they're smart, but they're not like test takers. They're not the kind of kids that most likely are going to be going to an Ivy League school, right? Yeah. But I said, look, to be successful, especially with this next generation, if you show up before everybody and you stay after everybody and you have a work ethic, just that will set you apart from everyone else your age.
As a real estate agent, is giving up your weekends. That's the first thing. Open houses are the quickest way to build your business. Giving up your weekends, finding a good mentor, knowing that like this is what you want to do, and having that strong why factor, because you're going to fail.
So you say giving up your weekends, but it's like giving up the partying, giving up staying up till 2 a.m.
Exactly. And I think that's where going to college benefited me, because, I got that like college experience where, I went out and I had fun and I stayed up late and, I partied and all that. But like for me, like when I graduated college, like for the first couple of years, like I partied still, a good amount, but I got sick of it quick. And, my vision was always like, I wanted to be the most successful person that I knew. And that was just something that was a deep burning desire in my stomach. I always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. Like, my dad, like I can't talk to him. 95% of our conversations are about success. And it's the only thing that seems to be brought up in any conversation when we sit down and we talk. It's like he's the most motivating person that I've ever ran into in my life. It's my own dad. And I feel like my whole life was like a pep talk for what was to come after, I graduated and I started my career.
Do you think that helps you get through your failures?
Absolutely. It's like the Rocky movie. Like, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and stand up and keep going. And I think that is really the true just narrative of being successful for me. I think that's really, when I look back, it's about how I handled failures. And like even today, like after that happened and with the clients in North Scottsdale, like I just have a burning desire to go get an even better client and to just be better.
I talk a lot about a lot of the people that come on the show have kids. I talk a lot what it takes to be a good dad. And it's interesting hearing it from a son's perspective. Mm-hmm. You've talked a lot about your dad.
Yeah.
And it's good for people on the show that have children to understand, the type of parent. So if you could say like the top 3 things that you learned from your dad that's helped you be successful, what are those? I think you mentioned one of them, which is being very motivational.
Yeah, motivational. I think that, motivational work ethic goes hand in hand.
So that's 2. What else did you learn from your dad that's helped you be successful?
Honesty. I think honesty, sticking to your word, being client oriented, those are really the key takeaways, because I think that, there's so much glam and there's so much flashiness and there's so much that you show that you're doing in real estate. And I think what's most important in real estate and building a business of any sort is focusing on your clients first and going as far as jumping across a bridge for a client, like doing no matter what it is, no matter what comes in my way, I'm blasting through that wall for my clients. And, it's the same thing in any relationship, in any family venture in life. It's ultimately putting other people first. And it's like the laws of the universe are like a boomerang. You put other people first, and then that's how you get the big checks. That's how you get the big years. That's how you get, everything that you want in life is to be giving toward others.
So you are on the Real Estate Is show. Have you thought about what your word or words are? What real estate is to you?
It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. I think that
that's the most unique one I think we've had. Why did you choose that?
Because there's so many ups and downs. There's like one day you're on top of the world. You just got the hottest new listing. The next day, a client of yours goes with another agent. One day, you're fired up. You're ready to go to work. You're ready to hold those open houses. One day, you just don't feel like doing it. It's just
the emotional roller coaster.
It's an emotional roller coaster. It's so amazing, the opportunity that it brings. it's a game, you know, it's a marathon. It's on a sprint. It's just a mind game. It's like you wake up every single day and you play like a game, and it's not even a job. It's really not. I think when you look at it as like a lifestyle and a game and a marathon, I eat, sleep, and breathe this.
Let me ask you a question related to that. How many houses do you own?
4.
When did you buy your first one?
2.5 years ago.
Okay, so in the last 2.5 years, you bought in 4 houses. So you're into them roughly 2.5. Does that sound right?
I would say that the 150 is included in the 2.2.
Okay. And then how much are they worth today?
I was thinking 2.2 is what they're worth today. You know, last couple of years, I really haven't seen a ton of appreciation.
Interesting.
It's just the market, right? Like if I would have been 2 years ahead of the curve, maybe I didn't go to college, I'd be looking at a whole different ball game of wealth right now. But I started to buy like 2.5 years ago, so I haven't really seen, you know, it's been pretty flat.
You're just getting going on that. You know, one thing that I want, like I think I have 5.5 million plus probably $1 million or to 2 in fix up, somewhere in there, about $1.5 million, but they're worth 25 million today.
Wow.
But that's after 12 years.
Yeah.
So it really is a long game.
It is.
And if you just keep buying, I promise you every 10, 20 years, those houses are worth a lot more no matter what market you buy in.
Oh yeah.
Now you could get lucky and happen to buy in the low market, but even buying in today's market, they're going to be worth more 5 years from now or 10 years from now.
And I will say that one conversation that I remember more than any other conversation that I've had was I walked into my team leader's office, as I do most days, and I bothered him. And I said, "Hey boss, how do I get rich?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Well, you know, there's a lot of ways, B." But I said, no. If there are 2 things that I could do to set myself, because I was starting to make a lot of money, I was starting to do well, what would you say that you think I should do? And he goes, invest in the S&P every year and buy a house every year. No matter what you can do, find a way to buy a house every year. I'm not a big S&P guy, so I didn't do that, but I have bought a house, really even a couple in 1 year. And I think that I know that conversation is what inspired me to do that. And it all kind of clicked. You know, I knew that I knew the market was high. I knew that, you know, there was a lot of appreciation that just happened. But I also didn't know that this would force me to be disciplined. And when I look back, even in the last 12 months, it was the best decision I ever made. Because when you're young, you're doing well, you know, it's easy to blow money. And when
it's a forced savings account.
It's a forced savings account.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate having you on. It's been really neat to hear somebody related to, like, you know, in their 20s, because most people I interview are in their 40s or 50s and have a lot of experience. And I think you've got nothing but a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.